afternoon, and
Good
welcome
afternoon.
to Creative Prompt Engineering for Digital Inclusiveness. My name is Sonia Rai, and I am the IT Digital Skills Facilitator for the IT workshops here at Lehman College. Some of you may know me, some of you I know are coming from different colleges across CUNY. I see some familiar, friendly faces here, and I welcome you to Lehman College if you are visiting us. I have been at Lehman for some 20 plus years. I know I look a little young, but I've been here a long time.
No.
Yes. Yeah, I earned my master's in computer science from Lehman College, and I'm also, I know I've been an employee here too. But I'm also going to share a little story about myself, a little background information. When I was a teenager, I actually assisted my dad when he was preparing his doctoral dissertation on teaching mathematics to disadvantaged adults. So I am closely affiliated with teaching, learning, and academia. So relax, you're in good hands. I'm not a quack. So this is going to be fun and it's going to be informative. All right, so what you see behind me on the opening slide is a snapshot of a tiny portion of what we call a hyperscaler. And what is a hyperscaler? Anybody, any guesses? It's hyper, yeah, hyper meaning big, right? So hyperscaler is a cloud computing system, right? That is capable of massive data processing and storage. In particular, this is part of what we call Microsoft Azure. I don't know if you know the name, but it is the infrastructure on which Microsoft builds to run AI products like Copilot and so forth. So in other words, why I'm doing this is to give you a realistic view of what AI is. This is the artificial brain, okay, that runs AI. And it's made mostly of what? Plastic, metal, electricity, cables, and code, right? So if Microsoft Azure is one type of hyperscaler, do you know of other developers of AI that uses this feature? Any guesses?
Yeah.
Any guesses? What about Google Cloud and Gemini? What about Facebook Meta? Right?
Rock.
Rock. Yeah.
Rock.
Rock.
Yeah.
And who makes that one?
Twitter.
Twitter, right,
Okay.
exactly. Amazon Web Services, right? So we have all these different products coming out to us. Now, what is prompt engineering? What is a prompt now? So a prompt by definition is what? The structuring and crafting by a human of instructions to yield the most desirable outcome from a type of generative AI. That's prompt. And the key word here is desirable, because what is desirable depends on an individual's perspective and expectation. That is what we need and what we want. Agreed? Right? So that's the key word here. And we know that at CUNY colleges, we support diverse what? Diverse populations, diverse identities. In terms of what? In terms of gender, race, socioeconomic, experience, background, age, and so forth, even culture and language, okay? So this is why inclusiveness is necessary when we are using AI technology, correct? And it is this exact reason, because we have unique perspectives and perceptions, it is the exact reason why the conscious and intentional use of AI in technology is necessary. Follow me so far? Excellent. So let me just give you some background. As I said before, I'm the digital skills facilitator of IT workshops. And every semester I teach a workshop on Microsoft Copilot Chat. Now, this name has been evolving. Some of you may know it as Bing Chat, and then it was Bing Copilot. Now, Microsoft is trying to streamline the names of Copilot. So there are two types of Copilot. There's Copilot Chat, and then there's also what is called Copilot 365, which is used within the Microsoft Office products like Outlook and Excel and Teams and so forth. The good thing about Microsoft Copilot Chat is that it's free. That means there's a CUNY-wide license for both learners and staff and faculty. It's what we call a general purpose AI, and that means it can be used to do multiple functions. It's not boxed in like a chat bot, which does one specific function based on the data set that it is trained on. It's what we call a large language model, and that means it's trained on a large amount of data, and it's running off of Chat GPT-4. That is the source code. And the other type of AI is called DALL-E3, and that's a text-to-image generator. In other words, you type in a prompt and you get whatever, it draws something or creates something for you. And that's where I've done most of my research in diversity, because they say a picture tells us 1,000 words. Copilot is also multilingual. I have tested Copilot with prompts using the Indo-European languages. That's like French, Spanish, Italian, and so forth. Yes, exactly, sir. What is your name?
It's the most common one in Spanish.
What is your name?
One.
One. Oh,
One.
yes, one.
And
Exactly.
if you're in trouble, just dial 911.
Nine. Thank you.
I'm all right.
Excellent. Yeah, and I've also, picking up on what Juan said, I've also tested it using other types of languages, including Swahili, Zulu, and Urdu, and Japanese and Chinese, because they are not using the alphanumeric keyboard. So I said to Copilot, how many languages do you speak? It said to me, well, I speak many. What do you need? So it's not going to give me how many languages, but I'm just saying that as a tool for learners to learn languages and interact with AI, it's showing you that we are building diversity into AI. Also, what's great about Microsoft Copilot Chat is the chatbot creation tools. We can now make personalized learning tools within Copilot Chat, and you all can do it yourselves. All right, you're shaking your head. Have you made a chatbot? Have you done that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, excellent. Because why I thought about it is that at Lehman, we're going to be moving into Brightspace pretty soon. And what happens, and Susan can testify, she's got all kinds of schedules she's offering for faculty to come and train, but sometimes those schedules don't map with your availability. And what's better than a personalized learning tool? So I created my own little chatbot, and it's called Lehman, I don't know if you can even see it, it's called Brightspace for Lehman College. And I found using this chatbot, I'm able to get instructions and very clear instructions, how to log into Brightspace from Lehman College, how to create discussion boards, announcements, all assignments included in the grade book, how to create weighted grades, all of these complex topics. It can now personalize for learning at Lehman. So now I have a virtual assistant and a special support. And it's something you all can do simply by giving instructions to Copilot to create this chatbot, the data set you wanted to study. And then it has a number of different types of virtual assistants that are learners or coaches and so forth. So it already has the code in there. So it just becomes like a form and you just fill out what you want. So why am I going through all of this and I'm talking about digital inclusiveness? Because I want to establish especially for marginalized communities, that AI has very positive aspects. And in order to foster an AI culture, we have to create trust, truth, and transparency within AI. So, as I said before, I do a lot of testing with this DALL-E3, which is a text-to-image generator. And this is the fun part, because I give a prompt for an AI CEO and it draws me this person. Now, I have not given it any adjectives. I didn't say I wanted a male or anything specific. Most of the time, you will get a woman, if most of the time, sorry, you will get a male. 95% of the time you'll get a male. And I'm going to show you what is the generic output. 1 or 2 times you will get a female. This is not an AI CEO. This is a model for Donna Karan clothes. Because most of the drawings you get for women, they are a size 2 and a certain height and a certain physique. Yes? Yes?
Absolutely.
Right? This is what you get from men. Okay? Men always have fluffy hair. Sorry, Steve. None of them have ball. I don't know why.
Thank you so much.
But most of them have
Love you
fluffy
too.
hair of a certain age and a certain physique and so forth. If you wanted an African-American CEO, like in this case, all right, you will have to specify you want an African-American. And also what is at the bottom, I don't know if y'all can see at the bottom here, but these are suggested prompts. And when I'm doing African-Americans, I make it more colorful, but I don't get that prompts when I'm doing, other types of ethnicities. Now, next, I wanted Copilot to draw me an African CEO, because there are cultural and linguistic differences in the way the two are presented. You see what I'm trying to say? There are subtle differences, but I get no change. I get practically the same thing. If you want a female that's African or African-American, you must specify. And then I'll get this lovely young lady, but then again, she's got the same Barbie doll proportions. If you want a woman who is of a certain age, you must specify mature, but she's still hot and everything else. So I wanted a woman to open my presentation, and I didn't get a nice design from DALL-E3. So I'm going to actually open the presentation with this young lady. This is an actual African female CEO. Her name is Elizabeth Rogo. She's an engineer. She studied at Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia, and that's my dad's alma mater. I lived for a long time in Canada. And Elizabeth is an inspirer to many women, and she says that there will be many people ahead of you, but you must always strive to be happy. That's nothing anybody can take from you. So that's why she's my opening slide. Now let's go into the topics. I'm going to go through, of course, AI biases, digital inclusiveness, creating prompts to generate inclusive results, the lack of women in computer science, and what we can do to create AI diversity. Now, we keep using the word AI, and in order to create diversity and trust, people have to know what is AI. All right. So AI is a big umbrella term, and it just means what? A machine demonstrates intelligence, human intelligence or greater, right? Underneath that is machine learning. And what does machine learning mean? Anybody?
It's when you feed a machine or a computer with tons of data and
It
machine
learns.
from,
It learns.
yeah.
Exactly. The machine learns.
Yeah.
Next, you've got deep learning. And what is deep learning? Deep learning means now we simulate how the brain actually learns, right? The biological neural network. In other words, we've got neurons and dendrites and they pass signals. But in the case of a computer, it's got an artificial neural network. So in other words, it has layers in which it processes data from one layer to the next. And all within the core of it is generative AI. So generative AI creates stuff through deep learning and machine learning. All right, so now let's play a game. Suppose I show you these. Okay, we're looking for patterns or relationships. What comes next, Steve? I see you're using your phone.
I was. Pass over.
Yeah, what comes next, Steve? Diane's sitting next to you and say, please don't call me son, please.
What was the question?
The question is,
Square.
we are looking at pattern. Look at the first line, square, triangle, circle, square. Then I show you square, triangle, circle. What can you predict will come next?
Square.
That was a
Square.
word answer.
Yeah, square, right? But what if this comes?
You need more for the set, like the third one might be
It's an
three
incomplete
circles.
pattern.
Hmm?
It's an incomplete pattern. We need more data to analyze.
Exactly, or it may just be an outlier, right? So the whole point of having you go through that is that what? Machine learning, how does it learn? By recognition of patterns and predictions based on statistical analysis. Next thing, so, and I also have this, that machine learning, we have supervised learning, which is branched off into regression and classification. And I'll show you, linear regression from your high school days of y equals mx plus b, right? Remember the equation of a straight line? Then we've got unsupervised. What's the difference between the two? They're using data differently. Unsupervised means we don't label the data. Supervised means we label the data. Like I'm giving you huskies and I'm giving you dogs and I expect you to classify the two based on what I give you, right? And then of course, unsupervised would use clustering. That is where you take data and it's all types of data and you just got to put it together like in a cluster to find where there are similarities. Now, here I show an example of linear regression. Do you all know what is linear regression? Because this is how AI learns. So here I have a simple diagram. It says we're going to try to predict shoe size based on height. So X, remember the XY from back in the day? So X is the what? Independent variable. So that's my height in inches from 5860. And Y is the dependent variable. That will be my shoe size. So we are matching what? Height to shoe size. So if I'm like 60 inches, I'm going to have a shoe size of 6. And as you see, as a person gets taller, it's usually expected their shoe size to grow. So what a computer would do is take all of those little data points and try to create a trend line or a mapping line to see, understand where the patterns exist in order for us to correlate this hypothesis that height, that shoe size depends on height. Okay, but what happens is a lot of times when a computer has implicit or explicit bias, you say diversify the data, but diversifying the data creates what? It's difficult for us to create what? Where the pattern actually exists. And of course, this is a standard AI development process. I just want to show you if you don't know, collect the data, tag it, the algorithm, you train it, you have the algorithm, you get the results. And at this point is a very important part where you evaluate. And evaluate just means what? Checking and auditing the results to see if there are any emerging biases within it. Then you have feedback and you can tweak the algorithm and complete this cycle. This is important too, because it says, how do you program bias into a machine without thinking it? A lot of times when people see AI being biased, and there are a lot of implicit and explicit biases. There is bias within an app that sends more people to jail through the criminal justice system. There is bias sometimes in mortgage and lending. There's bias if it's using historical data for hiring practices and so forth. But sometimes the bias exists without those intentions. What is important is when we start to create an AI product is how we frame the problem. And in framing a problem, this is why we need diverse perspectives, because we see things differently, right? Do you remember that little robot? What's it, Rombot or something that runs on the floor?
I don't.
Yeah, you know the little thing that cleans the floor?
Roomba.
Okay, so it was sent to Japan or Korea or one of those places. And one night a lady was sleeping and it got into her ear. Because when they were designing it, they didn't design it for cultures. You know, some cultures, people actually sleep close to the floor. So that is the importance in framing the problem from different perspectives. So I go through the challenges of AI biases. Remember, we've got data biases, algorithmic biases, and that's in the design and the implementation. Lack of diversity in teams, which I will show you, that we only give computer science degrees, and I mean real computer science degrees, to about 20% of women annually. And of that 20%, less than 2 or 3% are African-American female. And also we go through ethics, evaluation, and auditing, and that you know straight up. Now, let's go and play with pictures because this is most fun now. AI and standards of beauty. Why standards of beauty? Why is this important? We get this, you know, how society values us. That's how we get our self-esteem. Yes, sir.
I was just saying 5 minutes.
For me? All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, this is how we get our standards of beauty, right? AI does not recognize, in general, African-American features as beautiful. If you wanted an Indian lady or maybe a Korean lady, you must specify that. And most of the time, she will be what? She will be in traditional dress. You'll get an Indian lady in a market surrounded by fruit. This is their concept of beautiful. All right. If you do a text, boy in a field of daisies, right? This is the type of boy. No other adjectives I'm giving. Boy in a field of daisies with butterflies. Beautiful child in a backyard on a swing with butterflies and flowers. Again, the same text. You notice a trend? Now, this is the only time I saw diversity. Then I saw a little boy there. I think they're going to run over him. But here, this is the only time you will see some sort of diversity. If you ask for a happily married couple, now you have trade-off biases. You see a lot of Caucasian men and Asian women, but you don't see Caucasian and Caucasian. That is a trade-off. But you never see the interracial African-American and Caucasian. The overweight girl, this is their picture of overweight with friends, okay? If you want the average looking girl, this is what she looks like, and you see how this is skewed. This is the average girl exercising. This is the average girl exercising in the park. This is the overweight inner city woman wearing casual clothes. So they associate overweight. Copilot associates overweight with a certain age and a certain dress. The average looking guy is very good looking. He's 6 feet tall and well built. If you wanted a woman on welfare, again, you can see how it's making that, you know, this disparate treatment. And the only time I saw a dark-skinned boy is if I did the prompt, draw me a child from the inner city, and the prompt there is to make him play basketball. And another time, the only time you would see an African-American male is an overweight patient with a doctor. So now you see the trend. In this case, it's not as simple as AI making biases. This is a classifier, and a study was done in 2016, where the classifier had to tell the difference between a husky and a dog. I'm sorry, a husky and a wolf. And it misidentified this husky as a wolf. Why? Because it associated the snow in the background. So wolves, it said, had snow in the background, and that's where it tripped up. So you have to understand how AI is learning. It's just learning by images, whereas a child will learn from the full sensory spectrum of sight and sound and hearing. The impact, of course, we know the amplification of discrimination. We have intersectional biases, further amplifying it, social, gender, and race, and of course, the injustices. How do we mitigate those challenges? By creating digital inclusion. We have a digital inclusion office here, and the three legs are internet access, computer device, and digital literacy. But the thing with digital literacy is it comprises of so many different functions. How many of us can say we are truly digitally literate with all of this? I want to show you the computer science degrees. You can see male in the purple, female in the green, and you can see that it just outnumbers them. Women just have under 20%. And when it comes to the jobs, we earn 57% of all bachelors with 21% of the computer sciences, 57% of all professional occupations, but only 26% of the degrees. Again, we see it here from the STEM jobs. How does it work? There must be an intersection, like I said, between AI and DEI. You have to use creative, intentional prompt engineering. You must encourage an AI culture, and every college in CUNY must be an incubator for women in computer science. For creative prompt engineering, if you're using Copilot, it's better to identify yourself so it knows that I'm dealing with this particular person. State your expectation regarding results and give examples. All right, so I'm almost done. I know I'm being timed, but I didn't get to start late. So, the thing we're most concerned about is the originality of information when using artificial intelligence. This is why it's important to input the human. Of course, creating the AI culture based on our Lehman values, training, development, transparency, and trust. Women in computer science starts in kindergarten, all right? Nature versus nurture. It must be diversity driven, and we need real role models. And we must support women's upward mobility in technology. That is it, friends. Any questions?
What do you mean identify yourself to Copilot?
When I'm
Hispanic CEO. Did you see the flowers? Everything you said.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
yes, I'm sorry, sir.
What do you mean by identify yourself to Copilot?
When you identify, of course, you're not giving personal information, but I would say I'm a woman of Indian descent, I'm living in the Bronx and so forth, so that it knows that it's dealing with this particular individual.
How does that impact? Okay, so you're saying when I sit down and get on my computer with Copilot, the first thing I should do is tell
No,
Copilot.
if you wanted to draw something for you or something like that, so it will have an understanding what perspective it.
Oh, I
is,
see.
what
Okay,
result.
fine. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Yeah, you don't have to identify.
Right.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir,
Which might not necessarily related to this particular wonderful presentation.
thank you, sir.
I see a lot of talks about how the artificial intelligence misunderstand our society and everything else.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with any reasonable studies showing how the artificial intelligence affects the society perception?
How it affects the society perception. They are starting to do a lot of studies now because AI is in such an infancy stage and it's moving at such a rapid pace. It's only now we're discovering so many biases and what we need to do to leverage even now.
Yeah, I assume it's a two-way stream, the way we expect affecting the AI should affect the society. But I'm absolutely not familiar with any reasonable research on that.
The only thing I can tell you is people have become they are more aggressive when they're dealing with AI. You know what I mean? They're not as polite.
Good.
There's so many. Do you have a business card?